The giant in the room, as always, racism. All that being said, I would like to think that if I had to choose, I would still choose Italy. Hello everybody and welcome back to Linda Tina TV. If it's not your first time here, if it is your first time, hello there. Consider subscribing. You just may like what you'll find on the channel. My channel is a cocktail of things. I'm a black woman, an African woman, a Ugandan woman living in Italy, Milan, and I have been here for the past 10 years or so, 11. Hence this video. As you have seen from the title of the video, I'm going to be talking about life in Italy, living in Italy, the truth. But I'll put a disclaimer out there. This is the truth according to me. So I am not speaking for everyone. I am not speaking for every Ugandan or every black woman or every foreigner, every foreign person that has made a life or is living in Italy. But I want to think that after 10, 11 years, I do have, a good perspective on so many things. If your YouTube recommended you this video, you've probably watched many of them. And what I always find interesting is how different but also similar everybody's experiences are. Like, you're going to find a few things that are like night and day. One person experienced this and one person is experiencing totally another. But then there are also those things that everyone, every foreigner who has lived in Italy will relate to. And so I thought, this may be a good video for people who want as many perspectives as possible, or people who are in my similar situation, because that also is different for everyone. Depending on your situation, you'll experience things differently. And so someone may benefit from this kind of video. Now, just to give you a background story, like I mentioned, I'm Ugandan. I am married to an Italian, and we have 2 kids who are 9 and 11, and I live in Milan. And this is important for you to know, because also where you live sometimes is going to determine how you experience things in Italy and generally as in any other place around the world. So let's get started. Maybe the other thing that I want to point out before I get into the different aspects of living in Italy is living in Italy and visiting Italy are 2 different experiences. So one person may experience something and another person experience it differently because they live in Italy and the other one was just popping in and out for a summer, for a weekend. And so just take everything you see on the media with a pinch of salt. I'll start with the most obvious one, language. Obviously, we're in Italy, they speak Italian, and other languages like English, French, or any other language around the world is not going to be very spoken here or spoken at all. Understandable, because I remember the last time I made a video about things I don't like about living in Italy, I mentioned that English is not widely spoken, and oh my god, the backlash I got from that was like heavy, because they all told me, you're in Italy, you should learn Italian. Oh, you're in Italy, what language did you expect them to speak? Well, first of all, to all the people who commented on that video, parlo italiano, parlo anche meglio, ma è sempre difficile vivere in un paese dove non ti capiscono. Secondo me anche voi italiani siete d'accordo che non è così facile, soprattutto se la gente non parla l'inglese, che uno può dire almeno l'inglese uno si può trovare un modo, ok? Vabbè, anyway, what I'm trying to say is that I now speak Italian even better than I did then, which I already did, but it's still very difficult to live in a country that obviously most people don't speak your language or don't speak English, which is the language that at least some people try to understand. It gets difficult. But that being said, it is on you to learn the language. It is on you to find means to communicate with the Italians, which I must give it to them. They always put in an effort with the sign languages, with whatever they can. They try to make the people who don't speak Italian be understood. So yeah, you need to learn the language, bottom line. Driver's license. Now, that was a hard one for me. I had been driving in my country. I had been driving for about 4 years, since I was 18, because I moved to Italy when I was about 25. So I had been driving for a while, okay? But I was driving an Automatica. And then when I moved here, if you're going to live here, after 1 year, your license from wherever it is you come from is not valid anymore. You need to get the Italian driver's license. Maybe the one from some EU countries is actually valid. Sorry, just not to give misinformation. Some countries it's valid, but if you're coming from like the States or from Africa, like me, you need to resit the driver's license exam, and you have to do that in Italian. And you also need to drive a manual car, which I didn't drive. So if you're not going to live in a place that is well connected with public transport, or you're one of those people who's so used to driving, that is going to be one of the things you have to deal with. That exam was not easy. It was not easy, especially if you're not a native speaker of the language. It was hard. But I have videos about that. If you need any help, you can DM me, and I have videos just explaining a few tips on how to navigate the Italian driver's license. But yeah. Let's talk about the financial part. Now, for people coming from countries like the States or the UK, where the salaries are higher, when you come here, you get a shock about the salaries in Italy. But you need to remember the cost of living here is also lower compared to the States or compared to the UK or, you know, most other countries. Now, obviously, in Italy, you need to understand, for you to have the bella vita, the good life, that pretty much lifestyle you see on Instagram and social media, people going to do wine tastings and going out of town and going to ski slopes and doing all these nice fancy things that you see costs money. So obviously the lifestyle you're gonna have is going to be determined by how much money you make. The salaries in Italy are pretty low, so you need to be middle class and above to be able to enjoy the good life in Italy. These are facts. So that life that people sell you on Instagram and in the media, yes, it's achievable, but it's also going to be very much determined by how much you make, which honestly an average person in Italy cannot afford to go on vacations every other week or to go out of town every weekend to do all these nice, beautiful things. That being said, the cost of living pretty much balances out with the salaries compared to other places, other parts of Europe and, you know, America. Let's talk about some of the best parts. Food and weather. Weather in Italy is mostly great. The winters are not so bad. Right here in Milan, we almost never really see snow. We see some snowflakes sometimes, and that's when the city goes crazy. Oh my God, it's snowing, it's so cold. So the weather is pretty much great. We enjoy good weather from like, what, March till October. So weather in Italy is generally great. The food, if you know about different cuisines in the world, you know that the Italian cuisine is like high up there. And you know what is interesting about the food in Italy is that you'd think that because they eat lots of carbs, like lots of bread and lots of pasta, they're going to be overweight, or no, they're not. They're pretty much in shape. Italians are always in shape, but that's because they eat very fresh food and they eat a very balanced diet. So yeah, weather and food, you can't go wrong. I'm sure you've all heard about the bureaucracy. Oh my God. Coming from Uganda, Africa, I thought I had seen the worst bureaucracy and no, it's crazy. The bureaucracy in Italy is on a whole other level. There's a way things work so slowly in the public offices that I'm like, really? But now with the public identification system, things are faster. So they have this whole digital identification system where you can do so many things online, and that saves you the queues or people bouncing you back and forth from one office to another. Sometimes you're going to go to an office and they'll tell you, oh no, you don't need that document. And then you're going to go to another and they'll tell you, oh, that document is a must. Or offices just won't communicate. So your documents or whatever, things you've handed in that need to move to the next office just won't get there because the two offices are just like not communicating. I don't know. There's something about bureaucracy in this country that I just can't get over. But again, like I mentioned, with the public identification system, things are getting better. You can do so much more online now. And yeah, that saves you a lot of time. But yeah, you have to be ready for that kind of thing when you move to Italy. The job market. It's funny, when I was younger, back home in Uganda, people moved to Europe or moved abroad to find jobs because, there's lots of jobs that paid lots of money. Italy is not the country for that. I mean, Italians themselves can't find work. So as a foreigner who doesn't speak the language, your chances are like this small. So yeah, the job market in Italy is rubbish, facts. And obviously, speaking as a foreigner, if you don't speak the language, that reduces your chances of getting anything. And then the salaries, like I mentioned before, are pretty low. So if you want to move abroad or you want to move to a European country to basically make a big living or to make big savings or to find work immediately, Italy is just not the country. Period. The giant in the room, as always, racism. Now, I'm very careful when I talk about racism in Italy because everyone's experience is different. So I'm going to give my personal experience. I live in Milan, which is very metropolitan. So I haven't experienced any direct racism, in the years I've been here. I really haven't. But there have been microaggressions or those looks where someone is definitely wondering, what the hell are you doing here? Oh no, and then I've had, what am I talking about? I've had someone tell me, go back to your country. But this was, I was riding a bike, he was riding a bike, and we kind of, crossed lanes. So it was also road rage. But the fact that he used that in that road rage situation means that the guy was flipping racist. So yeah, I've had that. But minus that, I haven't had anything directly happen to me. My best friend on the other side who lives in Rome has had some really, really crazy experiences in the schools with her kids. So I would like to say racism is everywhere. And until the day you interact with that person, you just may be oblivious about it, or you just may not think about it very critically. And then the day that happens, that's when you'll be like, oh, whoa, what just happened? So I think that's what happens to me. I don't think about it so much because I've not had any crazy experiences. And to be honest, I try to really not pay my attention to negative energy. Like, you may even be racist, you may even try something, or you may even be, pulling some microaggression stuff, and I probably won't see you because I won't pay attention to you. So yeah, is racism alive in Italy? Yes, it is, like it is in many other places. Have I had a direct racial attack? Not really. Have I had microaggressions and some dirty looks and that thing that I had on the road? Yeah. So you decide your thoughts on that. Last but definitely not least, because hey, I'm a mom, so we're gonna talk about kids and raising kids in Italy. I have a video about that as well. Maybe I should do an updated video now that my kids are older. Raising kids in Italy is actually great. They love kids, they love babies. They'll touch your baby in the supermarket, at the park. Some people don't like that, but you'll find that people really love kids and they're really very helpful when they see a mom. They have their own way of doing things. So for me as a foreigner, raising kids in Italy was a bit hard but also a learning experience because I was raised differently. Obviously, the cultures are different. And here I realized that kids are, sometimes they're too soft on the kids, but then sometimes they're also too hard on you know, on the kids when it comes to some aspects. And I'm like, okay, it wasn't that deep. Or sometimes the kids are treated like they can't do anything, and I'm like, no, I was literally washing the dishes at 6 years old, so what's the problem? So it's just a whole cultural different thing. But kids are so loved here. Unfortunately, people don't want to have kids anymore because it's costly to raise kids in Italy, and housing and all that is becoming way so much harder in the economy right now. So yeah, there is also that. I feel like schools could offer more. I don't understand the Italian education system, to be honest, and that's embarrassing for me to admit, but I'm always trying to understand it better as my kids get older. But I feel like they could increase, and they could put more extracurricular activities. There's so much focus on studying and getting books read, and just getting the exams, you know, just passing the exams, instead of involving the kids more in extracurricular activities and more physical activities. I don't know. Maybe it depends on the school, but I'm happy with where my kids are. I'm happy with the school they're going to. I'm happy with how they're developing at school. So to be honest, that's also relative, probably. All that being said, I would like to think that if I had to choose an European country to live in, I would still choose Italy. I've traveled to very many of the European countries, and Italy is special. I don't know, it's grown on me. It's my kids' home because they're pretty much more Italian than anything. They're half Ugandan, half Italian, but they're born and raised here. Culturally, they're very Italian. My husband is Italian. I've lived here for 12 years. So yeah, Italy has grown on me. So many beautiful things have grown on me in this country. And when I visit other countries, I find myself judging them and rolling my eyes. And I'm like, in Italy, we don't do that. And that's how I know that I would rather be in Italy than any other country, at least here in Europe. Maybe I would live in Greece and Spain and Portugal. I've had good experiences in these countries. Other than that, life in Italy is really what you make it. And I think that goes for every other country. How you receive things and how you decide to react on them plays a very big part on how you're going to experience life situations and how you're going to experience places. Italy can be very hard. Italy can be very hard for a foreigner because of all the things that I've mentioned, and also because depending on what culture you come from, some cultural aspects are really going to blow you away, and you'll be like, no, I can't do this, you know. So, and then also people are very much closed-minded, so they're not going to let in new ideas and new ways of seeing things as easily as you would probably be comfortable with. So it's complicated. I always say that I have a love-hate relationship with Italy, because sometimes it's so great because life in Italy is really nice, la bella vita, and sometimes I'm like, what am I doing here? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you a perspective on how life is in Italy, according to me at least. If you have anything to add, or if you think something I said just doesn't make sense, please leave everything down in the comment section, and see you in my next one. Bye.